Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. Hello, everyone. My name is Brad Walsh, host of your podcast, Empowerography. My guest today is Amber Romaniuk. She is based out of Calgary, Alberta. She is an emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. How are you doing today, Amber?
I'm doing very well, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing great. How's your day going so far?
It's going good, and thank you for having me on your show today.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to our chat and hearing all about what you do.
Well, I'm happy to be here to share.
Awesome. Thank you. So you're a coach. You have a very successful podcast. It's worldwide in many, many countries. You give workshops. You do corporate work. You work with corporate clients. You wear a hell of a lot of hats. I don't know where you find the time. But being an emotional, digestive, and hormone expert, what does one do in your field of work? For the people that don't know, can you explain a bit about what your job is?
Yeah. So my primary role is that I coach women all over the world who are struggling with emotional eating, body image issues, fighting with their bodies and their weight, and then, helping them and guide them with balancing their hormones and digestion or any other health symptoms that may come along with the self-sabotage with emotional eating and then restrictive dieting, because it's very stressful on the body. So that's a big part of my business is coaching women on that end. Also, I do group program, and then I'm building an online program that I'm hoping to launch sometime this summer or early fall. That's going to be just like a starter program for people. And then I do have my podcast where I talk a lot about all of the things that, I'm going to be sharing with you today, and the emotional eating and body image and mindset. Mindset is a huge piece of all of this. And I love to speak. So I do a lot of lunch and learns and speaking. And one of my goals is to get bigger into the speaking world and things like that. So, and then I do work with a lot of companies of like food products and household products that we personally use at home. So anything that's natural or anything that's in support of health. So I wear many hats. However, I've found my stride with, as far as what I can handle as a client load, what I can handle regarding going and doing corporate work, or I have a team that helps me with my social media and just certain, aspects of that. So I have a very balanced schedule, and I have very strong boundaries. So I'm really walking the walk when I, am coaching my clients and saying you need to have the balance in order to get to that optimal health. Well, I really practice that myself, because I think it's just so important that when I'm supporting people, that I'm making sure that I'm having that balance with my schedule, and that I have a very supportive team taking care of a lot of the other pieces behind the scenes.
Right. Well, yeah, you want to be a good role model for your clients to show them actually walking the walk and not just talking the talk, right? So work-life balance is key for sure, because you don't want to get burned out, because you get burned out, then what good are you to your clients?
Oh yeah. And I had adrenal fatigue after I overcame my food addiction for a couple of years, and it was so bad because I was exhausted. My brain fog was really bad. I had such a poor memory, and it didn't matter how much I slept. I just had no energy. So I already know what it feels like to burn out after putting my body through so much turmoil, with the food addiction and then restrictive diets and over exercising. So I really, take pride in now, protecting my health and my hormones and everything, because I've been there, done that. Don't need nor want to do that again.
Right. So how long have you been doing this as a career, and how did you get started in this business?
So I've had my business for 7 years now. And where it all started for me was really my own journey and experiences with my body image and with food. And so from a very young age, I struggle with, my body image and feeling insecure. And that's because I had an experience when I was 5, it was my first day taking the school bus. And I always share this because I think everyone has some pivotal moments that impact them, and you create them to be the way they are as they grow up. And for me, it was a big one when I got onto the bus, and then the older boys in the back of the bus started calling me ugly and fat and making fun of me. And it really hit hard and it really hurt me. And I believed them because I thought, well, they're complete strangers and they don't know me, so it must be true. And from there on in, I really took on that identity for the next 18 years of my life. And really, food was always my friend, and it always tasted good. And there was always an abundance of junk food and sweets and, fast food and whatever I wanted to eat at home. And part of that was because my mom still to this day has a very emotional relationship with food. And I think a big part of that came for her after she got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis right before I was born. And so I think for her, a way to compensate in our relationship for certain things that she couldn't do just because she'd get too tired or just, didn't feel well enough, was she'd compensate with food. And so I grew up then there with this, body insecurity, but that I loved food so much, dieted all through my teens. And where the food addiction really got bad was when I was about 21 and I'd gone through a breakup and, really thought, oh, I want to have the perfect body and then everything will be great and I'll finally be happy. And that's what you need if you want to be loved and have success and all these different things. So I heavily restricted and exercised 2 hours a day and got to my quote unquote goal weight really quickly, but I wasn't happy. Nothing got resolved. The world wasn't perfect.
Right.
And then it just became hard to keep up with my routine. And one day it's this switch flipped and I just went to a barbecue and binged on the ice cream cake and there was a bar of chocolate to make s'mores and I took it and went into the bathroom and ate it all. That was the first memorable binge that I had.
Yeah.
And I felt so ashamed. And then the next day the restrictions started and not eating until 6 p.m. And that really started the vicious cycle of binging and then restricting. And for me, a day of binging, I'd drive around to different bakeries and places and buy food with money I didn't have and just eat until I was so full that I was sick. And, or I'd buy a bunch of food at I'd go to the organic store because I'm oh, it's organic. So it's a bit better, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd go home and binge and just watch a movie and just completely check out and numb out of my reality because I was so unhappy with who I was. Now I had gained 60 pounds in 4 months and it just really, I felt so ashamed and embarrassed and I wanted to hide. I didn't want to be social. I didn't want to date. I didn't want to do anything because I just felt so insecure in my body, especially now that I was the biggest that I had ever been.
Right.
And so for me, I think, my lowest point was when I had finished a binge and I was just really worried for my life at that point because I had been now harshly binge eating for over a year and a half. I was so physically unwell. I was exhausted. I was bloated all the time. I was overweight. I hated my body. And to be, 21 years old or 22 years old and be in that state, you're thinking these are supposed to be the best years of my life. And here I am really suffering. And so, I just thought if I keep doing this, I don't know if I'll see 30. I don't know if I'll even be here because I was so intense with my body. And I had finished a binge and thrown the food in the garbage. And it was about an hour after, my food settled that I was oh, I should have one more cookie because if this is the last time I'm going to do this, know. So I went and dug through the garbage and that for me was just the low point of oh my God, what did I just do? Wow. This is a serious issue. I don't know why it's happening or how to change it. But it was that at that moment though, it was the suffering became bigger than the fear to want to change or the fear of the unknown of what is dealing with this look like. And I was just I don't care how scared I am. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I've got to figure it out because I can't keep living this way. And I really went on it on my own. I didn't want to tell anybody about it.
Having to deal with that on your own and the shame to yourself and the embarrassment, but to not have resources to help you and to help you navigate through it at a young age too.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because there was these couple of parts of me. There's this one part of me that's for whatever reason, I just feel I have to figure this out on my own. And I think that was the universe guiding me of it's because you're going to be helping people and you really need to understand so many different pieces. And then there was this other part of me at one point, for one appointment, I did go and see a psychologist and it was a horrible experience. I spilled my heart out to her And she essentially just said to me, well, you just need to learn how to love yourself and stop going to the store. And I just felt so judged and like, what a waste of time and money. I know they're not all like that, but that also just for me was like another piece of proof that I'm like, nope, this isn't going to be me going and seeing someone because she just doesn't get it. I need to figure it out because I get it. And that's where really starting to understand how things like sugar were impacting my brain chemistry and that I was addicted to sugar, and, you know, that it's 10 times more addictive than cocaine, and that gluten and casein and dairy are also addictive and can, you know, give you a high. And I was addicted to all three of them, and learning they were making me bloated and how it was impacting my digestion and my hormones. Like all of this knowledge I was starting to learn was fascinating me. So I changed the way that I ate. And went gluten, dairy, and refined sugar free. It took dozens of attempts, but it's something that I needed to do to help me overcome the addiction. And I loved, you know, trying new recipes and new ingredients and, you know, starting to get in the kitchen more and be more creative.
Right.
But it was at that point that I was still binging on like 10 bananas or like a whole jar of nut butter that I realized this is more than just changing the way that I eat or trying to find the perfect diet, because it's not what it's about. That's when I really realized I don't like my body. I still wish I was thin. I have this void, this lack of self-love. I don't know what self-love is. I don't know how to feel my emotions. And I really don't know how to handle stress at all. And so that's what really allowed me to go on a more emotional journey of like starting to understand what triggered me to want to binge and self-sabotage, and why I didn't love myself, and that I had a void, and that I could start to use self-care, things like meditation and deep breathing and reading self-help books like Louise L. Hay, loved her, love You Can Heal Your Life. And the more I started to get into the emotional part of the journey, the less I was binging, the more I was realizing I've got to stop with the diets and the exercise because it's just quick fix and I'm using them as punishment. And I really need to figure out, you know, how to love myself, what self-love feels like. What is someone who loves themselves? How do they think? How do they take care of themselves? And starting to catch the negative self-talk and say kind things to myself and use affirmations. And so over time, I, you know, stopped the binging and overcame that. And really, you know, I think it was the equation of everything I was doing that created the self-love for me. It filled the void over time. And then that's where the journey got a bit more spiritual. And I recognized that I had an intuition. And so it was all of that accumulated that inspired me to, you know, think if I struggled with this the way that I did, how many other people, especially women, are struggling or have struggled? And it's like 80% of the female population in North America, and I believe about 45% of the male population.
Wow, so are you really? The numbers are that high?
Yeah, in North America, it's really, really bad. Well, and you have to think about it. There's a lot of negative influence. The food companies design food to make you addicted and spend all your money, right? So then you get sick and you have to, you know, go on drugs, and then you know, you have all the media like brainwashing us slash, you know, convincing us you have to look a certain way to be successful. Right. So they really set us up for failure from a young age. They don't teach us how to cope with stress in healthy ways in school. They don't teach self-love in school. They don't teach you how to deal with addictions or self-sabotaging behaviors or how to work on your mindset. Like none of this, I think this is what should be taught in school more than like study this textbook. Like I remember being in grade 11 and my social studies teacher, I swear she just didn't like me, but I just like, I didn't really care for what we were talking about with economics and like in like the 1800s. And I'm just thinking, you know, I'm not passionate about this and I didn't do well. And I thought that defined me. And looking back, I'm going, no wonder I just didn't care to learn about it. But when you get in alignment with what you're passionate about, you know, it's completely different. Yeah.
You take everything in. I mean, you're right. This stuff should be taught in school. And I think looking back at what you're saying about your story at 5 years old, this started for you. So why wouldn't this start in elementary school for these kids, especially women? Like you said, men deal with it too, but I think the issue is more, there's more focus on women. And I think it needs to start at a very young age. The parents need to play a role too. And in some situations, it doesn't happen that way. But if the schools, the education system got involved in helping these young kids, we'll say kids, learn how to love themselves, because boys need to as well. Boys go through stuff too. It has to start from you, because if it doesn't, that, as you are a prime example, that carries over into your preteen, your teen, your young adult years too. And if you don't seek the help and if you don't do the discovery for yourself, it carries on into your adult years, way into your adult years, which is horrible for that to have started at such a young age when it could have been stopped by parents and education system working together to help battle that.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things is, we're not taught about our mind, and that we have this conscious and subconscious mind, and that from age 0 to 7, your subconscious is fully open, and everything that you are observing and absorbing, that becomes a huge part of your beliefs, behaviors, habits, and thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm inheriting some really great things from my parents, but some really not great things from my parents, since my mom was always like hating on her body and like emotionally eating, right? And certain other things that I've, done diligent work on releasing. But truly, and I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Bruce Lipton, but he is like he's, I think, world renowned when it comes to like, biology of belief, and that our cells listen to our thoughts and that our thoughts dictate our reality. And he says, he has a video on YouTube and he talks about how the world and a lot of the people in the world want to set you up for failure so that you don't know how to take care of yourself. You don't know how to shift your mindset, and that doing your work helps you create success and then align and manifest what you want. He's like, they want you to not have power so that they can control you, and so that you feel insecure and fear and anxiety, and that you have to rely on other people for help, or, whatever that is. But like he said, we're such powerful beings, and we've been distracted and taught to think otherwise. And when we embark on a healing journey, we have the ability to discover these things about ourselves. Like, I would have never discovered any of this if I wouldn't have gone on the journey I went on. So I'm grateful for every part of it. However, I think there's so many things that need to change, not just with schooling, but like so many things that need to change in order for people to realize what powerful beings they are. But I think more people are waking up, and I think more people are wanting to do their deeper work because they want that freedom. And I think that, is where it needs to start, because it's from those places that then you see places like Mind Valley opening up, which is like mindset, manifestation, spiritual university. And like, there's more of this coming because one person had an experience and woke up and now wants to have a positive impact on the world.
Well, just like what you're doing. I mean, I think it's incredible the fact that you had your own battles with demons, and you're helping your clients. You're coming from a place of absolute experience because you actually went through what some of your clients are going through, as opposed to someone who goes through and takes courses and becomes educated on the field that you're in. That's great. But you having that experience with education and the actual experience of going through it adds that extra layer of benefit to your clients, which I think is incredible.
Thank you. And yeah, I think the relatability piece is really, really important in this case, because body image and weight and, binging or food addiction, emotional eating, whatever you want to call it, it's a very vulnerable. And, the women that come to me are feeling very vulnerable and very shameful and very embarrassed. Yeah. And one of the things that helps them want to reach out to me and open up to me is that they know I can relate because I've been there, and because I don't judge. I hold this safe space for people because I want them to come and feel safe opening up, because for a lot of them, it's their very first time that they're sharing this. Maybe their husband doesn't even know, or who, if they're with somebody. So it's such a delicate thing to talk about and explore getting help with. And that's why I think it's so important. Like, I don't care how much education you have. Yeah. If you make someone feel judged, if you're cold toward them, and, or you just want to talk textbook with them, you'll not be able to help them in the way, or you'll not receive the help that you want, if it's something this deep. Like, maybe if you're just like, I want to learn how to eat more protein and fat, great. Well, then go and see someone who can specifically help you with something that's more surface level. But any kind of emotional journey, like, you have to feel safe and supported.
Absolutely. Because you're, like you had said, you felt ashamed. You felt feelings of shame and embarrassment. And to have to hide that from your family, the people you love, and your friends, and having nowhere to unburden yourself, I can't even imagine what that feels like. I really can't. It's got to be horrible.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a good feeling. And once I started my business, I put my story on my website. And before I made my website live, I did send copies of it to my parents and, my family and my close friends, right? Because I wanted them to know first before it all went up. And all of them were just like, we had no idea. Why didn't you tell us? Also, we're really proud of you, but why didn't you tell us? And I'm like, I just didn't feel ready / I didn't think you guys would honestly really understand, because unless you've been through it yourself, it's really hard to understand what the experience is. Right. And so you can get a lot of response, which could be like, well, why don't you just not eat? Like, just have willpower. And it's not that easy. Right. Yeah. So
people can listen and they can be empathetic and whatnot, but like you said, until they've gone through it, no one can fully understand. I think that holds true with every situation in life. I mean, you cannot fully understand a situation unless you've been through it yourself. You can listen and be there, but that's about as far as it would go, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's different for everybody, and it's important to navigate it in a way that you feel good about. I do encourage people to share as they feel comfortable, and or tell people that they know they feel 100% safe with, that they won't be judged or won't be trying to told what to do afterward, at your pace. But I never make anyone go and tell people if they don't want to. You have to, again, be really mindful of where someone's at and meet them where they're at and go at their pace of kind of not pushing them too far outside of their comfort zone, because otherwise if you go too fast or have, make them do things they don't want to do, then they'll shut down. And you don't want someone who's finally opened up and ready to take a different approach to shut down.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a level of trust that has to be there.
Exactly.
So do you work only with women?
Primarily, I've had a few male clients, but I find that the majority of the people who reach out are female.
Right.
So I really wanted to niche in that, because it's just something that I guess that's where the path went without me really having to do anything about it.
Now, how have the male clients been for you? How has that experience been for you, actually, as a woman in business, dealing with or counseling men as opposed to what you're normally used to, women? How is that? What are the differences like for you?
So some of the differences, I think, I'll have some men come forth who don't struggle. Well, in the beginning, they don't realize they're struggling with emotional eating. Right. And so they're like, I had one guy come and he's like, oh, I've had past history of heart stuff, and I really want to lower my risk of anything happening again. And it was very interesting because in the beginning, we're looking at digestion and hormones and inflammation. But then as we got deeper into the coaching, he's telling me, well, I'm eating a bag of chips every night in front of the TV. I'm like, that's emotional eating. Emotional eating is any reason for eating other than physical nourishment. And that was having a significant impact on high inflammation in his body.
Right.
So I find for the most part, if that happens and they do come forth, they want that support with physical symptoms first, but there's always stuff that's emotional. Aside from, I find they're very driven and motivated. It's not much of a different experience other than it takes them longer to want to open up emotionally.
Emotional is tough for men.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the own conditioning that's been, conditioned with guys.
Society. Where men are conditioned to and taught to, no, you don't show your emotions. You're supposed to be big and strong and tough and house and da-da-da-da-da and on and on and on. So, yeah.
Which is not healthy for men, because that's, I think, one of the reasons you see so many guys have heart attacks or, have unexpected things happen, because they're just suppressing everything, and that's not okay.
No, not at all. Because, let's be honest, stress is a contributor to heart disease as well. So
big time, yeah.
It's stress is not our friend on many, many levels. Your tagline is gain body freedom for life. What does that mean?
Oh man, that's such a good question. It means so many things, but I will kind of elaborate on some key pieces.
Sure.
For me, though, it's really about getting to this place where you can really not just address, but overcome the self-sabotage with food or gain freedom from it, right? Because some people come to me and say, well, I just want to like only binge once a month, you know, and they set themselves short, or they, you know, and I'm like, well, why don't you want full freedom? And they're like, well, I just don't know if that's possible. So
Right.
for me, a huge goal with the body freedom is part of that's the food freedom, where I can guide someone in helping them completely overcome, you know, the emotional eating or food addiction, you know, no matter the level it's on, over a period of time, which is different for everybody, and
Yeah.
get them out of that food jail, that diet mentality, have them overcome the food fears. So there's that part. And then, you know, the body freedom is also about, you know, learning how to build peace with your body, ending the fight with the weight and the restriction and the punishment and the negative self-talk, and learning to understand, well, why is your body hanging on to weight? Or as I call it, protection. Why does your body want to protect herself? And
Right.
that's really where, you know, I have kind of 8 different areas that I focus on with people that equate to the exploration of building body freedom. And that's overbooked schedules, hormone imbalances, digestive issues, cravings, the emotional eating or the emotional relationship with food, you know, fatigue and low energy, inflammation, blood sugar imbalances, and then of course the mindset, like it all comes together. So
Yeah.
as we work on these different areas, it really allows to create the body freedom, which is both the physical and emotional, you know, struggles that people are having. And then what ends up happening with that is when people create body freedom, they create this sense of feeling unstoppable. They're confident in a way that they've never been before or haven't been for a long time. Their symptoms subside, and they live their life now to the fullest. They show up to live a big game of life, no matter what that is for them, whether it's in their family life or in their career or starting a business or growing their business, and feeling like they can manifest what they want and do what they want and just be excited for life. And for a lot of people, that's something they never experience because they limit their lives because they don't like the way they look, or they feel so unworthy to have these things, or they just physically feel so unwell that they don't have the energy to live that big game. And so it's just so powerful to see people work toward creating this for themselves, and what a significant positive impact it then has on all areas of their lives.
Wow. Now, you had said you struggled with these issues yourself from a young age. Do you still find, with you and with some of your clients in the past, does that struggle ever go away completely? Does it still creep back in?
I don't, if you've really done the work and you've really dealt with it, no, I don't think it comes back or creeps back in. I have no fear or concern of falling back into binge eating or emotional eating. Once you really fill the void, which takes time, and that's why it's important for people to take time, and you really love and respect your body, you view and respect food in a different way. And you want to nourish your body for physical nourishment. And yes, you leave some room for mindful indulgence, but you no longer treat your body like a garbage dumpster. You no longer want to hurt your body or punish your body because you're in this completely different state with your body. Also, when you learn how to listen to your body and you learn that awareness and you're in tune, you know what your body needs. So if you're like, oh, I have this craving, you can take a step back and go, is it that I'm really craving this, or am I needing something emotionally? Or, you know, I didn't sleep well last night and that always makes me a bit more hungry. So now that I know that I don't need to eat more, but maybe I need to wrap up my day sooner or do some extra self-care, take an extra break to like relax so that, you know, I'm not pushing my body too hard today. Right. So part of it is gaining that awareness and learning how to listen to your body. And that's something that I really teach to my clients. And again, as they do that and as they become in tune, they have a confidence, and they no longer worry about the past repeating itself because they've addressed the root causes of what fueled the emotional eating in the first place, which is not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. And so they've done the mindset work, they've done the emotional work, they continue to do it because they know it's important for them to feel happy and to feel good. And that making themselves a top priority is no longer like, you know, debatable. It's like, I am, because I'm worth this and I need to do this for myself. And as they go along, the habits fade away. And I think it's that confidence and that feeling of, you know, being unstoppable that just let you know, if I can get through this and heal this, I don't need to use food for anything, no matter what happens, because it just doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Right.
It's like, you know, going through the pandemic and I'm just thinking to myself, people are like, well, have you had any emotional eating relapse? And I'm going, no. I overcame what I needed to. If this was 12 years ago, good God, I'd be eating everything in sight and be so overwhelmed and stressed out. But I've been doing the deeper work for like 11 years now. And I know how to deal with things. I know how to cope with stress. I also know when, to just not pay attention to the news and that a lot of this is they're fueling the fear and the panic, and I don't give my energy into that. Right. So it's like the other great thing about doing this deeper work is it's really made me awake. And I think that we need to awake. Like, I am aware of the food industry. I'm aware of the pharma. I'm aware of dark state. I'm aware of all of these things that 15 years ago, I would have been like, what? No, like drink your milk and like go see your doctor if something's wrong. And like, it's all like, this is just the way that things are. It's like, so I think that awakening also helps you build confidence and just like this deeper level of like, we are so powerful, your mindset. And like, I believe in the universe and manifestation and all that stuff. And just learning all of that is so important because it helps me know where to focus my energy and deal with my emotions if I do get stressed out or if something happens, and that I have a deeper trust that I know if I tend to my mind and body that everything's really going to be okay. Right. Yeah. And that's the one thing we have that is our biggest power, is tending to our minds and our bodies. If people did that, we'd be in a completely different place.
But so many people blindly believe and follow the media and believe everything they're told and everything they're fed. And I think part of the blame there is that people are lazy. They don't want to do the work and do the research themselves and look into things and find answers for themselves. They want to be spoon-fed everything. So they're just happily, blindly going through life. Yep, this is the way it is, and that's it. There's no other way. This has to be true. The media is telling me this is true, so it has to be. And I think that's horrible that people go through life blindly. At least look into things and do the research and figure out something for yourself.
I think though, this is the thing is, again, if you're brought up in a family where you watch the news every night, where you eat a certain way, where there's a lot of negativity and, or like you take on your parents' programming, right? And it's innocent. Like it's not that they do it on purpose, but if like they haven't awakened and done their own work, well, of course you're going to grow up just thinking that that's the way that it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of the generation like that our parents have been in that state. And like, I think one of the things is you can, if you're not happy with your reality, yet you're all you're doing is, and I mean this with love, but if you're not happy with your reality and your circumstances, but all you're doing is complaining and going on social media and projecting and continuing to do everything the same way, and you're spending a lot of time watching TV and going on YouTube and scrolling on your phone, but you're not going, I need to make changes, like nothing's changing, nothing's getting better, like I need to focus on something or get more motivated with something, like what's really going to change? And if you're going to rely on winning the lottery or like whatever, like what's really going to change for you? Like I love Bob Proctor because he talks about mindset and that we can have anything we want, and the manifestation and abundance and like it's all available for us, but we need to focus and we need to overcome our negative beliefs and that paradigm or that self-sabotaging mindset. But you have to do the work. Like you can't just, it's like when I started my business, I was like, I know I can't just sit here and expect my client schedule to fill up. Like I need to network. I need to get out there. I need people to know who I am. Right. Like, because a lot of the other people, that I know were just like sitting there waiting for people to show up. And I'm like, but if no one knows who you are, how are you ever going to create success? Exactly. And the other piece of that was when I started, a lot of people told me, and it was funny because there was a lot of male entrepreneurs. They're like, yeah, we've seen a lot of nutritionists and they've never had success. And like, what makes you think you're going to be any different? And all of that to me was just like fuel to motivate me to go, I'm different. I know I'm different. I know this is going to be different. I bring a lot of different things to the table and I'm so driven and motivated and I want to help a lot of people. Yeah. And so it's true. You have to be motivated. You have to have focus and you have to so deeply believe in yourself that no matter what anyone says to you or whatever happens, you keep moving forward and you dream big, because that's something I'm grateful my parents always told me, like, dream big. They never put any limitations on me. And to this day, when I tell them, some of my really big goals are like, that's so amazing. We know you're going to do it. And, I think that that's so important, because when you put limitations on people and go, oh, well, how are you going to do that? Is that realistic?
Yes.
Well, you're already shutting that person down, and they were so excited to share with you. It's like my boyfriend also has a business, and he does all custom fabrication for certain cars, and I'm always encouraging him and like, sky's the limit. And I just see his mind so open, and he feels so unstoppable, not only because he's focused and motivated and passionate, but because I'm also supporting him in that way, and he supports me in that way. And I think that's so important, whether it's a friend, a family member, a partner, that you have that you're surrounding yourself with people who are supportive. Because if you have people who are doubting you and questioning you and saying that's stupid, well, then you have the wrong people around you.
Yeah. Well, I think that is probably the most important thing for people starting out a business, is to have that support system in place. Because if you got people, naysayers and people shit talking and doubting you before you even get started, you'll never get started. So support system is absolute, in my opinion anyways, the most key thing to have. Once you have that, and yes, of course, you've got to have work ethic. That's second. If you're not willing to put in the work, you're going nowhere. And I think that so many people get caught up and to romanticize the starting of a business, and I want to work for myself, and I don't want to report to a boss, and but then they don't want to, as you said, they just sit there. People will just sit there and wait for the clients to come in. That's not how it works. You have to hustle your ass off. People think that being an entrepreneur, that's easy. You make your own hours and you don't work weekend. Oh, believe me, you do. You work all the time, but you've also got to walk that line where you have that balance, because if you don't, you're going to end up burnt out. And your business then.
I agree. And I think it's so important to, as you get your business going, like, I think in the beginning you definitely put in more time because you're trying to get established to get ahead. However, I think at some point you do have to really set that balance, because you will otherwise burn out. And I think it's so funny when people think, I'm just going to start a business, work for myself, and they don't realize how much, not only, you have to do the physical work and take action, but what's bigger than that is your mindset. Because if you're going, I'm going to start a business, and then something gets hard, a lot of people just quit and give up. Right. And it's like, no, you've got to be willing to keep on going and pushing through and finding different solutions and different ways to deal with it, and let yourself get upset, but then learn from it and move forward. And if you're not willing to continue down that path, and being a business owner is probably not for you. And I mean that with love, but I have so many graduates that are graduating from the holistic nutrition school that I went to that email me, and they say like, what's your advice and what tips do you have? And I say, being a business owner is honestly not for everybody. So if you are very driven and motivated and you feel this huge fire and you're going to put everything you have into this, you'll probably get somewhere. But if again, you're going to just sit around and you're not sure what you want to do, and you're not clear and you're not motivated, then you may want to consider if going down this path is for you on whatever level, because you'll end up spending a lot of time and a lot of money and not have a lot to show for it if you're not going to challenge your mindset and grow. Like, being a business owner is like the best like self work or like growth work that I've ever had, and it just keeps going, right?
Yeah. It's hard. It is not easy at all, and people think it's easy, and there have been times where I'm like struggling with my own things, and I'm not where I wanted to be, or I'm not where I expected I would be by this point in my business. And there's a lot of struggles, but like you said, you have to push on through, because honestly, if you don't push on through and you quit, you never know how close you actually were. You could have been so close and you just decided to quit at that moment, and there you go.
Yeah. And we have to remember that we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to build confidence. And I think that's why it's so important for us to do our deeper work, because if you don't believe in yourself and you're not confident and you're just blaming everything on everyone else and you're victimizing, it's going to be very hard for you to have the success that you want and to help people in whatever your craft is, because you're self-sabotaging with your own constant negative mentalities. And I mean, we all start somewhere, because I used to be a very negative person and be in that victim mode, but doing this deeper work helped me realize I'm not my ego. Like, my true powerful me is an amazing person, and I'm going to figure out what I need to do to be this person more often and be the ego less.
Yes.
Right. But it takes being willing to go there and do that work and spend less time procrastinating and spend less time going, oh, next week, maybe I'll try again, or like, oh, I guess that's just not for me. It's like, no, like if you really deeply believe that there is a purpose for you here to serve, which I think there is for everybody, and you found it, do not let anything get in your way, because you're going to have your ups and downs.
I love it. Your whole mindset and your attitude, and it's just oozes positivity. I love it. And I love the term awakening. We all need an awakening. The world needs an awakening.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are now, with the current situation in the world, and a lot of people are sitting around bitching about, I'm bored, I don't want to be stuck at home, I hate being stuck in the house. Use the time to your advantage. Take advantage. Do things that you've been putting off. Do the self-work. Do whatever. Clean the garage. Clean your house. Whatever it is, just do something to keep busy and make positive use of the time instead of sitting around being negative and bitching about it. I mean,
but that's the ego, right?
Yeah.
We live in a very ego-driven society, and this scenario is fueling ego because it's fueling fear, worry, boredom. This sucks. I'm stuck at home.
Yeah.
So so people can continue that way, and they're probably going to end up, stepping into the new normal with not good habits and not very different of a reality. But for the people who are using the time and realizing that it's time to work on themselves, or to create better habits with food, or it's time to start that business, or, really good things can still happen with everything going on. Like, it's funny because at the beginning of this month, both my boyfriend and I are like, we wonder what kind of month we're going to have in our business. And then we both kind of got angry with everything going on, because we're like, we don't think this has just happened. We think there's, other things at play here. And it made us both really angry, but that anger motivated us. And we both ended up having really great months in our business. He had his best month, and I've had a really good month. And I've had so many women come forth. And it's because we chose to go, we have compassion for what's going on, but kind of like, we're throwing it all out the window. Yeah. We have the power to control our reality here at home. We're focusing on the positive. Bring us good things. Bring us miracles, universe. We're open to receiving. And by choosing... but by choosing that, we chose that, and to shut off the news and go, there's nothing we can do. Yep. So let's create, and tend to ourselves. And I think when you do that, and when you have the ability to have that kind of awareness, anything is possible. But when you're letting an external circumstance control you and control your reality, and letting that make the decisions for you, you're not going to go where you want to go, no matter what's happening.
Yeah, very true.
I could talk about that forever. It's right. It's just the power of the mind.
It's you go down that rabbit hole. It's a very interesting topic of discussion for sure. Now, I know on your website it says everything stems from the relationship with yourself. Now, self-love and body positivity, this all, I would, if I may say, is the basis for everything, right? For this whole dealing with this this disorder, dealing with these struggles. Do you think, or how much of a role, or how much damage do you think the media has done to the whole body positivity and self-love movement, in terms of over sensationalizing it to the point where it's like, okay, it doesn't mean the same anymore. It's not, the true meaning is gone because the media has hyped it up and over sensationalized it so much.
Oh, for sure. I definitely think it has an impact, because what I think is happening is, and I've seen this actually a lot on social media lately, is people normalizing emotional eating, normalizing self-sabotaging behavior. It's okay if you want to just eat your feelings away today, or it's okay if you're, you've gained 100 pounds. And I'm not saying that you should shame yourself if you've gained weight at all. But what we have to remember is you're the one who has to deal with your body. You're the one who has to deal with the fact that at some point continuing to emotionally eat or continuing to gain weight is going to have an impact on your physical health, whether it's your blood sugar, inflammation, your heart, your digestion, your hormones, your energy, and that eventually impacts your mood. I don't know anyone who feels really poorly physically that's in a really great mood, emotionally, right? So, and the more we emotionally eat, the more we build a habit, which is almost like an addiction, and it is a self-sabotaging behavior. And then it becomes very difficult, or it takes longer to undo it, because you're going, well, people online are saying it's okay to do this, so I guess it's okay, even though I feel bloated all the time and I feel crappy. And you know what I mean? Like, emotional eating, I don't want people to feel shameful or embarrassed if they do it, but it's not healthy behavior. Like, I'm not kidding when I say it took me 5 years to balance my hormones and digestion, because it did, right? Like, I had to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to correct what I did from emotionally eating for many years, and then fighting really severely with it, through my early 20s, right? Like, still to this day, I have a little bit of inflammation left that I'm still dealing with. It's a lot better, but if I wouldn't have addressed it the way that I did, who knows what kind of health issues I would have. And I see a lot of women who have health issues, and that they've stemmed from the emotional eating,
Right.
And it suppresses your immune system. And, I've had clients who've literally had to like sell their businesses because they were so involved in their business and fighting with their body so much and emotionally eating so much that they literally were like, their doctors are saying, we don't even know how much longer you're going to be here if you keep doing this. And this is women in their 30s.
Wow.
So like, this is significant.
For sure.
Not that I want you to like be scared if you're doing it, but you need to take this seriously, because at some point it has a significant impact on every area of your life. And I prefer, people be preventative if possible and go, I'm struggling with this. I don't want to accept it. I actually want to change it, and to start like checking out resources, podcasts, or to actually get support with it. Like, I just think that that's so important, because at some point or another, it will impact your health. I'm sorry, it doesn't not.
Yeah.
If it impacted me the way that it did, and I was in my 20s, you think of how if I would have continued to do that for another 5, 10, 30 years, like what potentially could have unfolded.
Yeah. Where would you be? Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's delicate, but we need to not normalize, and we need to, I'm all for body positivity, and self-love heals. It really does. And it does help you make those shifts. I just think though, there's certain parts of, I just want to try and say this in a really mindful way. Like, I don't think we all need to be super thin, because people who are super thin are also very unhealthy on the inside. Yeah. However, I think it's so important that if you think that, you end up putting on a lot of protection or gaining a lot of weight, and you're concerned that that's going to have an impact on your health, that you do that deeper work and you understand why you put on a lot of weight or protection. Because to me, in our natural state, if our body feels safe and our hormones are good and we're treating our bodies well, we shouldn't be continually putting on weight and protection. To me, that means there's physical imbalances going on, like hormone stuff, inflammation, digestive stuff, again, if you're emotionally eating and then restricting, like, I don't see how you're in a really healthy state mentally, physically, or emotionally if you're continually gaining weight. And to me, that's a sign that your body's trying to communicate with you and go, hey, I don't feel good. I'm stressed out. There's stuff going on. I'm trying to get your attention, but you're still not listening to me. And great. I want people to love themselves at any size, but to also understand that there could be health implications or things or emotional things that come along with not getting curious, at least, as to why do I think that I'm hanging on to this? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's delicate, but that's my outlook, I guess you could say.
What would you say is your biggest high or greatest win so far in your life?
Oh man, in my life, learning how to love myself. That has been, because it's changed everything. It's given me my business, success, abundance. Now I get to help other people. And the other thing that's so fascinating about it is it brought me into the loving relationship that I'm in with, my boyfriend. And I keep bringing him up, but it's because, we dated when I was struggling with my food addiction and it didn't work. He wasn't ready and I wasn't ready either. And, you come 9 years down the road and we've been together for 4 now again, and it's been the most beautiful thing ever. So because I learned to love myself and fill my void first, I then attracted and mirrored and continue to manifest the things I want. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
It is in every way.
What would you say is the biggest pain point that you've been dealing with in your business these days?
That's a good question. I don't really feel like there's been any massive pain points. I think sometimes what, gets me is when I know the value that I have to offer and I reach out to like someone who has a big following and then they shut me down because I don't have enough followers. That I'm like, but this isn't supposed to be about that. This is supposed to be about like me sharing, and hopefully I can like help your listeners and let them know they're not alone. But for some people, there is that superficiality or it's a boundary for them. And I respect that. But I think for me, sometimes I get a little bit frustrated about that.
I hear you. We talked about this off air before we started. It's, I don't know. You would think that the whole purpose of this is to get the message out there. Who cares how many followers you have? Does that really matter? But to each their own, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could go back to when you first started your business, would you change anything about how you did things?
Oh, 100%. I would not work 7 days a week, 16-hour days, because it kept my adrenal fatigue going. I definitely would have set boundaries sooner. I just think that's one thing I definitely would have changed. And also, not saying yes to everything because I was quite a people pleaser when I started my business, definitely not anymore. But I think the confidence that came and has come with running my business has really helped. But yeah, those would be the things for sure.
I think that happens with a lot of people though when they first start out. They want to take every job that comes away because it's like, hey, look, I'm getting all these jobs, and so they want to do that. But yeah, it's okay. It's tough when you're first starting out to not take every job. And I think that comes with experience of being a business owner, that wisdom and knowledge, right? What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that has helped you become successful?
I think there's two things. I dream big and I don't ever doubt myself on anything that I have accomplished and or want to accomplish in the future. And I think the second thing is the deep awareness I have of how I listen to my body. Like I'm so tuned in that I can tell if my cortisol's off. I can tell if my liver's off. I know what these things feel like physically or emotionally. I can tell when I'm in my power and when I'm out of my power. Yeah. So I'm very grateful that I continue to grow and to deepen my relationship with myself on all levels, because it's allowed me to build this sensitivity and this in-tuneness. And I pride myself on that because then I teach it to my clients. And once you have that, you know what you need to give yourself, and you have these things for life.
That's
and I think
incredible that you're that in tune with your body and your mind.
That's amazing. Well, it's taken time, but I think we all have the ability to do it. It just takes time and practice.
Well, again, it goes back to the whole work thing. You got to put in the work.
Yeah.
So, what are you not very good at?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, I am not a huge fan of like copywriting and like writing copy for, say, like my sales page or that kind of stuff. I'm like, I just wish I could hire someone to like capture exactly what I need and just do it, because sometimes I'm like, now I have to do that part. And it's, it's just not something that I like get as lit up about. So
what sound or noise do you love?
Oh man, that's a good question. I absolutely love now that it's spring and all the birds are coming back, like just there's like a little breeze and the birds are chirping, and it's so nice.
It is to wake up in the morning and hear the birds chirping it's just inspiring to get up, and it sounds, it's a beautiful sound for sure.
Yeah.
What is your favorite word? Or one of your favorite words?
Gratitude. Love it.
What is your favorite curse word?
That's a good one. Am I allowed to say it?
Yes, of course.
Oh, I don't even know. I guess shit. But I don't even say it that often. I've honestly, I swear a lot less now that I have my business, because obviously if I'm with my clients or in a professional meeting, like it's something that I've really, not that I used to swear a lot, but it's definitely calmed down a lot because I'm on a lot more, right? So
Right. Okay. What is one of your favorite quotes?
Oh, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
I was going to say that earlier when we were talking, because you had mentioned something about people doing the same thing over and over again, and that triggered that quote in my head, and I was going to say that. So good I didn't. There you go. If you could have a 1-hour conversation with anyone in the world, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's such a great question. Oh, I want to talk to Bob Proctor. He just seems so lovely, and he's 85 and he's still out speaking and flying all over the world. So definitely him.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you?
Well, it depends on who's listening. Cause like for those who are not spiritual, I'm probably a 10 because I like talk to the universe and clear energy. And my boyfriend and I, we like have a planet that we manifest stuff from. So if you're not into any of that and you think it's weird and woo-woo, then I'm a 10. Otherwise, like a 4 or 3 if you're into all that kind of stuff.
What is a passion of yours that you rarely share with people, and why not?
I absolutely love to dance. I used to take all kinds of different dance when I was growing up, and it's something that I'll get into a little bit and then it'll kind of fall away. And sometimes I forget how much I love it until I do it again.
Okay. If you could have one superpower, what would that be?
To
think
fly.
Superhero superpower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Don't ever let anyone tell you you can't.
I love it. Very simple, to the point, and yeah, that's powerful advice for sure. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Oh, it means being open, and it means standing tall and knowing so deeply who you are, and that is enough, and that it always has been enough and will be, and that you have so many unique gifts and value to offer to the world, and that, you know, being in your purpose and moving forward with that, and, you know, being kind to people and just being open. I just think empowerment is all of those things and so many more.
Love it. How do you define success? What does that word mean to you?
Oh man, I think it means that to me, success is that I'm helping my clients do what I say I'm going to help them do. You know, if they're doing the work, they're gaining the body freedom, the food freedom. Success to me also means that I've had a significant impact while I'm here. I want to impact the world and on such a large scale with all of this. And success to me also is simply showing, you know, waking up every day and just being grateful for life and my body and my health and just being here. So I think there's many levels of that. Yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Don't take what anyone says to you to heart.
And lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what do you think that 30 seconds would sound like?
Holy, that's a great question. You're not alone. Don't let your past define you. Don't let the fear of the future stop you from doing good things now. You are fully capable to learn how to love yourself and create the life that you want and be free of anything that doesn't serve you anymore. And really don't stop moving forward to figure out the path to that freedom. You know, don't ever give up on yourself, because you'll find what you need if you keep moving forward.
I love it. Thank you for your valuable insights and your information and your advice and opinions. And it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. You are a beautiful human, and the energy you give off is just incredible. I love it. This has been such an amazing conversation. I wish it could go on longer because there's so many other things.
Well, we could always do a part 2.
We could, and we should actually. We should. I would love to do that if you would come back. I would love to have you back.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So my name is Brad Welsh, the host of the Empowerography Podcast. My guest today has been Amber Romaniuk. She is based out of Calgary, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I've so enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a wonderful day, Amber.
You too.
Talk to you soon.